900 years ago, there was a man in China who faced imprisonment, the threat of execution, the loss of his position, poverty, and exile again and again. Through all of it, he was never completely broken. He slowly found a way to live alongside the pain. His name was Su Shi. In 1079, Su Shi was 43 years old, serving as governor of Huangzhou, and was the most celebrated literary figure of his time. That autumn, he was denounced. Someone claimed his poetry contained hidden criticism of the imperial court. He was arrested, escorted to the capital, and thrown into prison, where execution could come at any moment. This became known as the Crow Terrace Poetry Trial. After 103 days in prison, he wrote a letter to his brother Su Shi. In it was one line: "May we be brothers again in every life to come, bound by a bond that never ends." He was composing his final words. He believed he would never walk out. In the end, he was not executed, but he was not reinstated either. The court sent him into exile in Huangzhou. As a banished man, he had no official post, no salary, and moved his entire family into a crumbling, drafty old post station. His political enemies were still in power. His career was finished, and simply feeding his family had become an urgent problem. This was not a temporary setback. It was a predicament with no visible end. In the early days in Huangzhou, Su Shi barely left the house and saw almost no one. On the rare occasions he went out, he wandered aimlessly through the hills, keeping company with woodcutters and fishermen, exchanging a few words before returning home. The poems he wrote during this period were almost entirely filled with images of emptiness and silence: bare mountains, still nights, solitary wild geese. One line says it plainly: "Who sees this lonely soul wandering back and forth, like the shadow of a solitary goose, fading into the mist?" He compared himself to a wild goose flying alone through the dark. The anxiety of those days was very concrete, not knowing what tomorrow would bring, not knowing if his family would have enough to eat, not knowing when any of it would end. He had no way out and no answers. He drifted in that state for nearly a year. Then one day, Su Shi went with a few friends to visit Sha Lake, just outside Huangzhou. As they walked, the sky changed suddenly and heavy rain came pouring down. His companions scrambled for shelter. Only he did not move. Perhaps he was simply exhausted. Perhaps something inside him had already gone quiet. He just kept walking, bamboo staff in hand, straw sandals on his feet, one step at a time through the downpour, all the way to the end. Something settled in him as the rain came down. Some things are the same, whether you run or whether you stay. Better to walk through them than exhaust yourself trying to escape. He put that feeling into a poem. Pay no heed to the sound of rain through the forest. Why not walk and sing at an easy pace? A bamboo staff and straw sandals are lighter than a horse. Who's afraid? A raincoat of reeds in the wind and rain, enough for a lifetime. He could not change his circumstances. He could not remove his enemies. He could not quickly solve the hardship at home. But he could choose how to live inside all of it. The thought did not improve his situation by a single measure, but it made him begin to look at what he still had in his hands. A friend later found him a patch of wasteland on the eastern edge of the city, where he could grow his own food. He named the plot Dongpo, Eastern Slope. From then on, people began calling him Su Dongpo. Clearing the land was not poetic, it was survival. Every day he was out early and back late, turning soil, sowing seeds, pulling weeds until his hands were calloused and his back was soaked with sweat. When you spend a full day working the land, many of the thoughts that keep circling in your mind grow quiet for a while. With a piece of land, life had a small foundation again, and he began turning his attention to smaller things. Pork in Huangzhou was cheap, and the locals did not know how to cook it well. Su Shi set about figuring out how to make it taste good. He developed a method of slow braising over a low flame and wrote a poem about it, The Ode to Pork, detailing exactly how to prepare the meat and manage the heat with great seriousness. He also experimented with brewing wine and refining recipes, treating every meal as something worth doing carefully. When you are genuinely absorbed in the immediate thing in front of you, the unresolved larger questions recede for a while. As life slowly found its center again, he began to venture further from home. Outside the city was a famous stretch of river, said to be the site of Cao Cao's great battle at Red Cliff. One day, Su Shi went there. Standing before that expanse of water, he thought of Cao Cao, a figure of towering power who had once commanded the land. And yet, now even the location of the ancient battlefield was difficult to say with certainty. Moved by the moment, he wrote in his Ode to Red Cliff, "The river flows on, yet nothing is ever truly gone. The moon waxes and wanes, yet in the end, nothing is ever gained or lost." When he began looking at his own circumstances through that scale, many things suddenly felt less heavy. He stopped repeatedly asking why it had to be him. He stopped fighting internally against the things that had been unfair. He slowly came to see that some things cost less when you let go of them than when you keep holding on. Behind this was something that had been accumulating for years. His deepening engagement with Buddhist thought was beginning to take real effect. During those years in Huangzhou, he began genuinely applying the Buddhist concept of impermanence to his own life. Things are already as they are. Resisting them only drains you. He put down what could not be changed and kept his energy for what could still be done. This shift did not happen overnight. It settled gradually, layer by layer, through those years in Huangzhou. Su Shi never returned to the political center. After leaving Huangzhou, he was demoted twice more, each time further away, from Huizhou to Danzhou, all the way to the southernmost edge of the empire. Yet in Huizhou, he wrote, "Each day I eat 300 lychees. I would gladly spend my life as a man of the south." In Danzhou, he began teaching. In every place he was sent, he put down roots. What Su Shi left behind may not have been only his poetry. More important than that perhaps was this, that at the moment when he had absolutely nowhere left to go, he slowly taught himself how to keep living.